So this is episode 8 of DIO. Let me get this pencil out of my mouth. DIO, doing it ourselves, the bathroom renovation part, I shouldn't say part 8, it's not episode 8. We got cedar boards here, and of course I'm practicing, and I put that 45-degree angle on the wrong side. I don't know if I'm going to have enough pieces to fix it. We'll see. If not, we'll just make do. We can't do a single piece along all the way to the floor like I was thinking, because that pushes out right there at that tub where the tub meets the surround a little bit too much. So we're going to have to do it probably in 2 pieces. So I'm definitely frustrated, but I do have the back piece up. It could have been a little bit longer. The side piece, just dry fitting it, because we're still going to finish all the cuts, dry fit everything, paint. Maybe glue some joints together, maybe staple some joints together before ultimately, tacking it in, seeing if we need, I think we're going to need some spacers or some kind of, because that's going to be angled too much. And it's not a big problem here for this side to be a little lower, but when it goes over there on the top part where there's nothing to go against it, it is angled back pretty far. Life today is hectic again. Probably can hear kids hollering, talking, their mama hollering. But yeah, I am frustrated. This is why I haven't really showed you guys any detail of what I've been doing, because it took way longer. I am not good at cutting angles. Some of my angles went, I think I said earlier in this video maybe, I cut them on the wrong side, so they're backwards, upside down. So, I think there is about a 1/4 inch gap there. So if we wanted that trim to actually go flush on the top, we might want to use just a 1/4 inch piece of sheetrock. Although this little lip is not like a 1/4 inch. By the time you add the screw heads and kind of hold it up flush, there's somewhere around a 1/4 inch of a gap there. So it's pretty big when I'm looking at it. Can we look at it? Big nice gap there. So as you can see, we need to make that closer to being flush. So when we go to put it in, seal it, all that stuff, it'll hold flatter and it'll look better. Well, we got a piece of, what is this? Something, MDF or something, that measures about the same as the gap. So I think instead of going out and buying a piece of sheetrock, we'll just cut this slightly smaller than we need to and make it hopefully work. I think most likely using that material means we can yank this little trim piece up, and if we have to mold on the outside of this whole setup later, that's okay. I think it'll be pretty much sealed with silicone, probably in 2 layers. 3rd layer if we put another piece of trim, like I said, on the outside. So I think it should be good. Alright, we cut a bunch of this whatever that stuff is, MDF, cheap MDF, kind of roughly cut, didn't cut very well. We're going to see if we can make this work. So we marked an area on the old molding where we're going to pull this off and put that other wood here. So I've sort of attached these guys with screws. Can't just pull that out. I need to cut a little whole circle right there for the shower piece. There's a piece back there. There is a missing space over there that I need to fill in so that I can at least caulk that area pretty good. We haven't done this left side yet because of that seam there. I think I want to go ahead and unscrew this surround here and try to push it tighter to that seam and re-screw it before I tack everything in, silicone everything, and make it more final. You can see there kind of how we got it on the right side. And then coming on the left side, we did add some silicone here, so I don't know how easy or hard it's going to be to loosen it up, but I think it's probably a better idea. I keep talking about that seam there. See, you may not even be able to see it on video, but it's pretty closed here. And by the bottom, you got a little gap there. It may not even cause a problem, but I think we need to try to make sure it won't. So if we can close that gap some, it'll be so much better. All right, we got the seam tighter, maybe not perfect, but definitely a little better. Just put a single screw there. When we pushed on it pretty hard to get it to close up, we're going to soak every thread in the screws that we put back in here with some bathroom silicone. Like that. This is just from the first push out, so it's a little bit excess, but we can wipe it off. All right, it's the next day. We got a little section down there, but there's a gap, so we need to fill in those gaps so that when we put the silicone in there, it has a place to do, and we're not having to put like half a tube of silicone or more trying to seal something that would be impossible to seal. Now on the left side, we put another wallboard piece here. Not in the best shape, but it's mainly used for a spacer. Did a little caulk job there, kind of ugly, but we're gonna put this on here before it dries and smush it down and clean off any excess that shoots out. Because there is no lip here that we're going on, and this is more recessed down here than here. We had to just put some cement screws on the right side first to go through just the sheetrock wallboard where there's no studs. I think I'm gonna have to shave this off before I put the molding on, probably because it's a little bit wide. But this is just to kind of hold it to the silicone so it'll hold flat. And when we go and staple the molding on it, the trim, it should hold a little bit better, a little bit at the right angle, hopefully. If the angle is pushed in too much on where the stud is and pulling this out, we may have to put some wood shims there temporarily, fill it full of silicone, screw it down, pull the wood shims out just to make it match sort of with the top layer of mold. Made a little side piece that was a little bit wider than normal for going up here, just to fill in that gap. And we use the multi-tool here to put in a piece here. So we're gonna put some silicone top, bottom, and side, I think. So we put some silicone in most of the creases we can. Where these things come together, make sure it's not gonna push against anything else here. Well, I think for the most part I got it done. I filled in that gap there, but I still have a gap where that original framing was pushed out and I didn't want to put it against it, so I don't know what to do about that. Maybe when we put whatever we're putting on the top portion in, we can seal it from there multiple times until we get a good seal and no holes in it. All right, JJ, you're painting. We'll do the sides after we do the tops. Let's do the tops first.
Well, Daddy, Johnny got stuck at the pole.
Again? Well, we got it partially done. First coat. We got a few sides and stuff that aren't quite done. I don't know if we're going to do 1 or 2 coats on it. Well, some parts are a little bit tacky still, so I'm not going to do the second coat today. So it looks like we're done until tomorrow. We are doing another dry fit around here, and this left side fits pretty good. I think I can smash it in there and get a really good tight fit. Even though it's slightly off there between pushing and tugging, I think we can get it so we can kind of glue that in, and then once we get it nailed in there or stapled in, it should hold. On the right side, however, I guess due to this stuff pushing or blocking access to these cuts, these angled cuts, to making it so we cannot push them together there. You see it's pretty bad there. I think we're going to have to shorten this board in the back with the same angle cut. So just experiment with maybe a 1/4 inch and then maybe a 1/2 inch 45-degree cut. And as you can see, it also makes this section here come out too much. So when we put our boards up here, they don't exactly meet where they should. Hopefully it's an easy fix. I definitely have some reservations about using this cheap material here. And I'm just hoping that between the silicone, the bath and tub and surround adhesives, and I think maybe if we have enough paint, we're going to put a sealer primer coat on all of this. And just to try to minimize the chance of water coming in and just melting this stuff away, because any water I think will just make this disintegrate or you know, make it swell and push out the trim. You know, I kind of wish that I could find some maybe cedar that would have been about that thick, or maybe just slightly less. But I don't even know if like cedar plywood would hold too much better than this. Maybe treated plywood, but all I think is that I hope that all the sealers keep water away from the wood material. Hope all the silicone, the layers of silicone, and the primers and water sealers do their job. If they do it and this doesn't really get wet, then we're probably good to go. But I just don't know. We're using it, as I said, as a spacer. I also know, like in this back area where we're doing the trim, there's not a lot where that window is that is super steady, sturdy, or anything. So we're going to be relying on adhesives and, you know, staples to just try and hope that it holds, you know, because it's kind of resistant to wanting to be pushed in. You know, those staples hopefully will temporarily hold, you know, everything until that glue, that adhesive, silicone or whatever, hopefully has a good hold and grip on it. And then, I don't know if I said this earlier in the video or not, when we put the final whatever here to go against it, make another bead of something sealed there. I sort of have reservations about using a hand wand here, because if we just had a shower head, the Delta shower head, which is let's got it right here, just this thing, it's only going to spray the water, you know, something, you know, you remember we're going to have a shower curtain here, hopefully. So probably no more than like on this wall here, and not up there where it could be going above and behind the wall there above the surround, you know. So there's reservations, but the wand is probably better for me. But is it going to be a problem when the kids can grab that wand and spray it in any direction, including up on the ceiling? If it were just a faucet without a shower head, kind of like, you know, how a garden tub would be, you wouldn't have a shower curtain, you wouldn't have a shower head, you wouldn't worry about, you know, surrounds or anything. You're basically, you have your area around the tub and down below sealed, so you got like less than a 2-foot area, maybe 15-18 inches at most, where you worry about water getting, you know, causing issues. All right, so we went outside and cut that, and it's definitely fitting a lot better now. May not be perfect, may never be perfect. We're going to glue it up though after maybe we go ahead and prime these boards, just to give it that extra level of protection. Well, that cut is not pretty at all, but I guess it'll have to do for now. All right, so we just got done painting this first coat, as you can see. We ran out of paint near the bottom, so we'll probably do a little bit more. We will definitely do a little bit more after we kind of prep the next few pieces. I hope that the wetness in the paint won't make this material, you know, like expand or, you know, make it mushy or anything. Hopefully it'll dry okay. We may just be able to start doing the top portion, you know, of the trim before we do the bottom, as soon as the tackiness of the paint is dry. We'll see if we need to touch up anything, but I doubt it. All right, time to add some tub and surround adhesives to the top and the bottom of those trim pieces. We're going to do a thicker layer at the bottom. All right, the good thing here is there's still, at least in the middle section, probably all the way through, enough area to put even more silicone on that bottom once it's actually installed. And we have the trusty old, dirty old Harbor Freight nail gun, stapler, finish nailer, whatever. Well, we got it down to almost the bottom, but we ran out of silicone. I think one of these sides will be have a little bit of deficit, a little empty space. So we're gonna have to do something later, probably right after we do the floor maybe, so that we can seal it around the molding and then put molding under the tub there. But we're getting to the point where we're gonna have to do a cleanup pretty soon too. All right, there's that one of the last two sections there. It's all the way to the floor, so when we do the flooring or whatever, we may just use the multi-tool to kind of cut under it to put the floor in. This one here has the gap there, and you can see we still got some issues with that wall there. They got, you know, flooded out too many times, so we'll probably put another little board, you know, 6 inches or so right against that one, so it's going to be easier to do a repair versus replacing all of the sheetrock. We tried to do most of the screw holes recessed slightly, so that when we put silicone, we can paint over it and hopefully cover them. You know, it's hard to tell because sometimes you got to keep painting on silicone and it'll look like it's covered, and the next day or two it'll start popping out. So I don't know if I said it earlier, but these staples weren't really long enough to go through everything. They might, you know, touch the board behind it a little bit. So we went ahead and secured them with screws and pop staples back in afterwards. So hopefully the screws, between the screws and the tiny bit of staple that's in that backboard and all of the silicone will hold it all together. So like there's a screw, there's a screw. We may have to put a little bit more silicone in after it dries, as I said, and, you know, maybe dab it with some paint a couple times. But for the most part, most of the screws seem to have disappeared, at least while it is wet. And wherever there's like a gap there, that's clear silicone, because we are mix matching everything, I guess. Anywhere where there's a gap like that, we're going to try to paint it too and try to minimize these imperfections. Even if you see these certain creases that are created since we put the molding to here, that doesn't necessarily mean water is going to go through there and get to this wood that's going to disintegrate. It has that big bead right there on that side, has a small bead on that side where this other material, MDF or whatever, is kind of raised up just slightly more. So as it is screwed down, stapled down or whatever on that stud behind there, is pushing against this side harder, creating, you know, a better, hopefully better seal with the silicone. I'm getting tired, I guess. Silicone. But that also does not necessarily mean we won't put another bead here, and then when we get another trim piece to cover this area, we're going to seal it again. So hopefully if water goes on the outside, it'll be this spacer board here will be protected, and the walls and the floors, I guess, hopefully. And if it comes in on the inside, it'll be protected. And obviously the boards aren't perfect, the surround isn't perfect, the walls aren't perfect, which means you got a little tiny seam here and maybe a slightly larger seam there. And we could probably definitely put, you know, if we had masking tape, we could just mask it right there and just gob that silicone or whatever, or adhesive in these things to try to, like this, where it's kind of closed up here. That wasn't intentional, that was just the silicone, the big gob on this side that pushed out. That's telling me that we did have enough silicone there, maybe too much. So it pushed it out and it created a nice little seal there.